Before we begin, just breathe.
Imagine for a moment that you're walking down the same street you walk every day, the same buildings, the same trees, the same sky overhead. But today, something is different. Today, you're not in a hurry. Today, you decide to stop. And then, something extraordinary happens. You realize the world around you has never been ordinary. The sunlight dancing between the leaves creates a unique spectacle that will never be repeated exactly the same way. The smile of a child passing by carrying a red balloon lights up not only your face, but something deep inside your chest. The aroma of coffee wafting from a small bakery awakens sweet memories of cozy mornings. You ask yourself, how could I have passed by here so many times without seeing any of this? This is the question that haunts us today. When was the last time you were moved by something simple? When was the last time a small beauty touched your soul so deeply that it made you forget, even for a few seconds, all your worries? The truth is that life isn't just made up of flaws, failures, and sadness. There's extraordinary beauty in even the smallest things, but our minds have learned to filter these experiences, considering them irrelevant to the bigger problems we carry. Today, I want to invite you on a journey of rediscovery, a journey to awaken the eyes of your heart and see life with the same wonder as a child, seeing the vastness of the ocean for the first time. Because, as the poet Rumi said, beauty surrounds us, but we often have to walk in a garden to know it. What if I told you that you're already in the garden, that you've always been there, and that all you need to do is learn to see again? Your life is as beautiful as you see it, and today, let's learn to see it with different eyes. Once upon a time, there was a man named André who lived in a big city, always racing against time. Every day, he woke up to a blaring alarm clock, hurriedly drank a cup of coffee, rode through the traffic jams, and arrived at work already angry at the world. André was no different from millions of people. He had learned to live by focusing only on problems. His mind was like a filter that only let the bad things through. The overdue bill, the difficult boss, the failing relationship, the worrying health. One day, in the elevator of the building where he worked, André met an elderly woman carrying a small vase containing a violet. She smiled at him and said, "Isn't it beautiful? I bought it today at the market. Flowers always make my day." André looked at the violet. It was just a small, purple, ordinary flower. He thought, how could this lady be moved by something so simple? But he said nothing, just smiled politely. That night, André arrived home exhausted, as usual. He sat on the couch, turned on the television, and lost himself in the bad news that filled the news. Wars, crises, accidents, conflicts. This was what his brain had learned to consider important information. But then something unusual happened. André remembered the lady's violet. Why had that image stuck in his mind? Why, amid so much mental chaos, was the violet still there, small and purple, pulsing in his memory like a soft light? It was at this moment that André began to realize something fundamental. His mind had become a minefield of negativity, like a computer that only opens infected files. His eyes only saw flaws, failures, problems, and reasons for concern. This is the modern human condition. We live like André, with our eyes clouded by haste, fear, and constant anxiety. Our perception has become a filter that selects only that which confirms our worst expectations about life. Neuroscientist Rick Hansen discovered that our brains have a natural tendency called negativity bias. This means we give much more attention and emotional weight to negative experiences than to positive ones. It's as if our minds are Velcro for the bad and Teflon for the good. But why does this happen? The answer lies in our evolution. Our ancestors needed to be constantly alert to dangers, predators, poisonous plants, enemy tribes. Those who didn't heed the danger signs didn't survive to have descendants. Thus, we inherited brains designed to detect threats, not to appreciate beauty. The problem is that we live in a very different world today. In most cases, we don't face immediate physical risks, but our brains continue to function in red alert mode. We see danger where there is only challenge. We see catastrophe where there is only change. We see ugliness where there is only difference. André didn't know it, but he was living a life filtered by ancestral fear. His eyes had lost the ability to see beyond the surface of problems. They were dusty eyes from rushing around, from worrying, from the habit of always expecting the worst. Like a collector who only kept rusty coins, André had become an expert at finding flaws. In traffic, he only saw the cars that cut him off, never the person who kindly gave him way. At work, he only noticed the criticism, never the compliments. At home, he only noticed the mess, never the comfort of having a home. The conditioned mind works like this. It creates patterns of perception that become automatic. It's like wearing sunglasses all the time and forgetting you're wearing them. After a while, you believe the world is actually darker than it is. But then something began to change in Andre's life, and maybe something can change in yours too. 3 weeks after meeting the Violet Lady, André had to leave home early for a doctor's appointment. It was one of those gray winter days, with a light drizzle that made everything a bit blurry. While waiting for the bus, André decided to take shelter in a small square on the corner. It was a place he passed every day but had never really noticed. He sat on a wet bench, grumbling about how long the bus was. That's when it happened. A small raindrop hanging from the tip of a leaf began to capture the weak morning light. For a few seconds, the droplet transformed into a tiny crystal teardrop, reflecting the entire world around it in miniature. André was mesmerized. How could something so simple be so beautiful? At that moment, without him realizing it, something shifted in his perception. For a few moments, the filters in his mind loosened, and he saw the world through different eyes. He looked around and realized the square wasn't just an empty space. There was a flower bed lovingly tended. Birds were singing in a tree he'd never noticed before. There was a small fountain with running water that made a soft, soothing sound. How could he have passed by so many times and never seen any of this? The bus arrived, but André hesitated to get on. For the first time in years, he didn't want to leave. He wanted to stay a little longer in that strange state of peace. Was that what he was feeling? During the drive, André continued to look out the window, but in a different way. Instead of seeing only gray buildings and chaotic traffic, he began to notice small details: a window with colorful potted plants, a dog playing in a yard, an elderly person watering flowers on the sidewalk. At the doctor's appointment, while waiting to be seen, André observed the other people in the waiting room. Normally, he saw only tired and worried faces, but today he noticed a mother gently holding her young son's hand, conveying security through her touch. He saw an elderly couple sitting side by side, still holding hands after so many years together. He saw a young woman who smiled at him spontaneously, for no apparent reason, simply because their eyes met. There was beauty in people. There was beauty in gestures. There was beauty in the small acts of care and affection that happened all around him all the time, and that he had never noticed. When André arrived at work, he looked different. His colleagues noticed. "Are you okay today?" Marina asked from the next desk. "You seem lighter." André couldn't explain what had happened. How could he tell that a raindrop had changed something inside him? During lunch, instead of eating quickly while checking emails, André decided to head to the diner on the corner. It was a simple place he'd been going to for years, but always in a hurry. Today, he allowed himself to sit at a small table by the window and truly savor the food. The sandwich wasn't gourmet, but it was warm and seasoned with care. The juice was simple but refreshing, and as he ate, André observed the owner, a woman who always served him with a genuine smile. How many times had she brightened his day with that smile, and he hadn't even noticed? That afternoon, on his way home, André did something he hadn't done in years. He stopped at a bookstore, not to buy anything specific, just to browse through the books, smell the paper, and watch people choose their next reads. It was there that he found a book of Rumi's poems. He opened it to a random page and read, "Beauty is not in the face. Beauty is a light in the heart. The words touched something deep within him. He bought the book and, on the bus back, continued reading. With each page, he felt as if someone were wiping a dusty pane of glass inside his soul. The Sufi poet's words echoed truths that André seemed to know but had forgotten. When he got home, instead of turning on the television right away, André stood on the apartment balcony for a few minutes. It was dusk, and the sky was turning orange and pink. How many sunsets like this had he missed because he was always in a rush or worried? That night, before going to sleep, André reflected on the day. It had been a normal day, with the same commitments and responsibilities as always, but something fundamental had changed. It wasn't the external circumstances that were different. It was his outlook. It was his perception. It was his ability to see beyond the surface of events. For the first time in a long time, André fell asleep with a feeling of gratitude in his heart. A gratitude without specific reason, but deeply real, as if he were giving thanks for being able to see again. And maybe that's exactly what was happening. Over the next few days, André began to notice something extraordinary. Every time he admired some beauty around him, a moment of peace arose within him. It was as if contemplating beauty created a small zone of silence in his agitated mind. When he stopped to watch the birds fly by in the late afternoon, his worries about work simply disappeared for a few moments. When he lingered admiring a child's smile in the park, his anxiety about the future dissolved like sugar in water. When he listened to the aroma of coffee in the morning, his irritation with the small problems of everyday life transformed into sweet acceptance. André was discovering a universal law that few know. Beauty is a direct portal to inner peace. This happens because genuine contemplation of beauty takes us out of psychological time, that mental time where we live dwelling on the past or anticipating the future, and brings us to the present moment. And in the pure present, there are no problems. There are only experiences unfolding. One day, walking through the park near his home, André came across an elderly man sitting on a bench, watching a small pond where some ducks were swimming. The man radiated a serenity that caught André's attention. "Sorry to bother you," said André, "but you seem very calm. What's your secret?" The man smiled gently. "It's no secret, young man. It's just a matter of paying attention to what's before our eyes. Look at those ducks. See how they swim leisurely, how the water gently parts around them, how the small waves reflect the sunlight. When you truly see this, when your mind stops chattering and you just contemplate, something magical happens inside you." André sat down next to the man and tried to do as he suggested. At first, his mind kept jumping from thought to thought. Tomorrow's meeting, the bill he needed to pay, the argument he'd had with a friend. But gradually, as he allowed himself to truly observe the ducks, his thoughts became more spaced out. It was as if the beauty of the scene had the power to quiet her mind. The ducks glided through the water with effortless elegance. The waves created hypnotic patterns of light. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves on the trees, creating a subtle, soothing music. For about 15 minutes, André stood there, simply observing. And during those 15 minutes, he experienced something that had become rare in his life: genuine peace. Not the peace of someone who solves all their problems, but the peace of someone who realizes that, beyond their problems, there lies a deeper, more peaceful reality. "Do you understand?" the elderly man asked. "The beauty you admire outside awakens the beauty that exists within you. And this inner beauty has another name: peace." André thanked her and continued on his way. But he took with him a new understanding. He began to realize this wasn't just theory. Every time he stopped to genuinely admire something beautiful, a flower, a smile, a sunset, a gesture of affection, something quieted inside him. It was as if the external beauty acted like a tuning fork, resonating the peace that already existed within him, but was obscured by mental agitation. This discovery transformed André's routine. He began to collect moments of contemplation throughout the day. At breakfast, instead of reading the news on his phone, he would watch the steam rising from his cup, forming ephemeral patterns in the air. In traffic, when stopped at a traffic light, he would notice the clouds creating interesting shapes in the sky. At work, during breaks, he would watch the people moving about on the street through the window, each with their own unique and interesting story. Gradually, André noticed that this practice was changing not only specific moments of his day, but his overall disposition. The same problems as before continued to exist, but he reacted to them differently. It was as if he had developed an internal reserve of calm that helped him deal with challenges without losing his balance. His friends began to comment on the change. "You're different, André," his sister said over Sunday lunch. "Calmer, more present. What happened?" André tried to explain, but realized it was difficult to put into words. How could he explain that he discovered that beauty is medicine for the soul? How could he tell that he learned to find peace in small moments of contemplation? One night, leafing through Rumi's book again, André came across a verse that perfectly described what he was experiencing. "In your light I learn how to love. In your beauty, how to write poems. You dance inside my chest, where no one sees me. But sometimes I do, and it becomes a way of worshiping." That was it. Beauty dances within our hearts, and when we learn to perceive it, our entire lives become a form of worship. Not necessarily religious worship, but a profound reverence for existence, a natural gratitude for being alive and able to witness so many wonders. André was discovering that life is not just a set of problems to be solved, but also, and above all, an extraordinary spectacle to be contemplated and celebrated. As the months passed, André developed what he called a new perspective. It was as if he had discovered a secret garden that had always existed around him, but which he had never seen before. This garden wasn't in any particular place. It was everywhere. In the bakery on the corner, where the baker greeted him every morning with genuine joy. In the square near work, where people of all ages gathered to talk, play, or simply exist. In his own home, where he began to notice details that comforted him. The way the afternoon light streamed through the window, the soft sound of the refrigerator running, the cozy feeling of being in his own space. But what impressed André most was discovering the beauty in people. Every face he passed on the street held a unique story. Every expression, every gesture, every word exchanged throughout the day revealed some aspect of the rich diversity of humanity. One day, on the subway, André noticed a woman reading a book. She was smiling as she read, completely immersed in the story. That spontaneous smile, that pure joy of being touched by words written by someone she might not even know, struck André as one of the most beautiful things he had ever witnessed. There was proof of how human beings can connect through art, literature, and creativity. Another day, he saw an elderly man teaching his young grandson to play chess in a square. The grandfather's patience, the child's curiosity, the silent transmission of knowledge and love between generations. All of this created a scene of touching beauty that made André smile internally for the rest of the day. Gradually, he realized he wasn't just an observer of this beauty, he was also a part of it. When he smiled at the building's doorman, he was creating a moment of beauty. When he helped an elderly person carry a heavy bag, he was participating in the symphony of kindness that makes life more beautiful. When he listened attentively to a friend who needed to vent, he was offering the gift of his presence, which is a form of love. André discovered that beauty isn't just something we passively contemplate. We are co-creators of the world's beauty through our actions, words, and intentions. This discovery led him to conduct an interesting experiment. He decided that for an entire week, he would try to be a source of small beauties for the people around him. Not grand, heroic gestures, but small acts of kindness and attention. On Monday, she bought flowers to take to the office and placed them on a communal table for everyone to enjoy. On Tuesday, she genuinely praised the work of a colleague who rarely received recognition. On Wednesday, she stopped for a few minutes to play with a neighbor's young son who was playing alone in the yard. On Thursday, she wrote a note of gratitude to the cleaning lady who looked after her building, thanking her for keeping the environment clean and welcoming. The result was surprising. Every act of kindness André offered returned to him multiplied. People began to smile more in his presence. The places he walked seemed to become lighter and more joyful. It was as if the beauty he sowed created a positive atmosphere that benefited everyone. But the most important discovery was another. André realized that when we offer beauty to the world, through a smile, a kind word, a caring gesture, we are, in fact, recognizing and nurturing the beauty that already exists within us. It is impossible to give what we do not have. When I am kind, it is because I have kindness within me. When I am loving, it is because I have love within me. This realization brought André a newfound self-compassion. For years, he had been his own harshest critic, focusing only on his flaws and limitations. But now he understood that if he could recognize and create beauty in the world, it meant there was a source of beauty within him as well. He began treating himself with the same kindness he offered others. When he made a mistake, instead of mentally beating himself up, he asked himself, "How can I learn from this and grow?" When he felt tired or sad, instead of fighting those feelings, he allowed himself to feel them with compassion, as he would with a good friend going through a difficult time. One evening, while sipping tea and watching the rain through the window, André reflected deeply. He realized that this entire journey had begun with a simple drop of water on a leaf. From that small contemplation, a complete transformation in his way of life had emerged. Now I understood what wise men of all traditions have always said. Beauty is not a luxury or an ornament of life. Beauty is the very fabric of existence. When we learn to see it, life reveals itself as a constant miracle, an extraordinary gift we receive in every moment. And the most incredible thing of all was that this beauty was always there. André didn't create it or bring it into his life. It always existed, patiently waiting to be noticed, like a treasure hidden in broad daylight. 2 years had passed since that rainy morning that changed André's life. Now, he had become known in the neighborhood as someone special, though no one knew exactly why. There was a quality in his presence that made people feel good, a light in his eyes that suggested deep inner joy. André didn't consider himself special. He had simply learned to live with his heart open to the beauty that had always existed around him, and that had transformed everything. One day, walking through the same square where it all began, André saw a young woman sitting on the bench where he had discovered the raindrop. She was crying silently, her face hidden in her hands. The sight touched his heart deeply. He approached carefully and asked gently, "Can I help you with anything?" The young woman looked up. She was about 25, her eyes puffy from crying. "I don't know if anyone can help me," she said. "I feel like my life is just one problem after another. I lost my job. I ended a difficult relationship. I'm in debt. Sometimes I feel like life is just suffering." André sat down beside her. He recognized in those words his own story from 2 years ago. "Can I tell you a story?" he asked. And André told the young woman, whose name was Sophia, about his own journey. He spoke of the raindrop, the dusty eyes, the gradual discovery of the beauty that had always been there. Sophia listened to him with growing attention. "But how did you do it?" she asked. "How can you see beauty when everything seems to be going wrong?" André smiled. It was the same question he'd asked himself 2 years ago. "I'll teach you something I've learned," he said. "Beauty and problems are not opposites. They coexist. Problems are part of life, but they're not the whole of life. When we learn to pay attention to beauty as well, our perspective changes completely." "But isn't that running away from reality?" Sophia asked. "No," André replied. "It's about expanding reality. It's about seeing the whole picture, not just a part of it. Look around us right now. You're going through real hardships, that's true. But it's also true that there's a blue sky overhead. There are trees offering shade. There are birds singing. There's a gentle breeze touching our faces. There's one person, me, who cares enough about your well-being to stop and talk. All of that is real too." Sophia looked around as if seeing the square for the first time. There really was beauty there. How had she missed it? "Want to try something?" André suggested. "Let's spend 15 minutes here, in silence, just observing what's around us. No judgment, no trying to solve anything, just seeing." Sophia accepted, albeit skeptically. For the first few minutes, her mind kept returning to her problems. But gradually, she began to notice things that had previously gone unnoticed. A group of children playing on the playground, laughing with genuine joy. An elderly couple walking hand in hand. A dog chasing a ball, its tongue lolling and a look of pure happiness. Gradually, Sophia felt something welling up inside her chest. It was as if a tension she hadn't even known she'd been carrying began to dissolve. It wasn't that her problems had disappeared, but they seemed less dominant, less defining of who she was. "How do you feel?" asked André after the agreed time. "Different," Sophia admitted. "More light? It's weird. My problems are still there, but it's like they're not all there is." "Exactly," André said. "You've just discovered something fundamental. You are not your problems. You are the person experiencing the problems, but also experiencing the beauty, the love, the peace, the joy. You are much greater than any difficulties you are facing." Over the next few months, Sophia began practicing what André had taught her. It wasn't easy at first. Her mind was accustomed to focusing only on the negative, but gradually, with patience and self-kindness, she developed new habits of perception. He began to notice small joys in his day: the taste of his first sip of coffee in the morning, the smile of a child on the street, the comfort of his bed after a tiring day. Each of these small beauties served as a small dose of peace and joy, and something interesting began to happen. As Sophia developed her ability to see beauty, she also developed more creativity in dealing with her challenges. It was as if the inner peace generated by contemplating beauty created mental space for solutions to emerge. She found a new job, not out of desperation, but through a network of contacts that formed naturally as she became a more positive and engaging presence. Her finances began to fall into place, not by magic, but because she was in a clearer frame of mind to make sound decisions. One day, Sophia ran into André in the same square. "I want to thank you," she said. "You taught me something that changed my life, but I have one question. Why did you stop to help me that day?" André thought for a moment. Because I saw beauty in you," he said. "I saw a human being going through hardships, as we all do. I saw someone who deserved kindness, and when we offer kindness to others, we honor the beauty within ourselves." Sophia smiled. It was a different smile than the one he'd had 2 years ago, a smile that came from a deeper, more serene place. "Now I understand," she said. Beauty is not just something we see, it is something we are." Sophia, inspired by the transformation she experienced, decided to create something she called a gratitude circle. It was a small group of people who met once a week in the square to practice together the art of seeing the beauty in life. The group began with just 3 people: Sophia, André, and Donna Mercedes, the elderly woman André had met in the elevator, the one with the purple violet. Gradually, others joined: a young student suffering from depression, a single mother overwhelmed with work and children, a retiree feeling lonely, and a teenager anxious about the future. The meetings were simple. They sat in a circle and each person shared 3 beautiful things they'd noticed during the week. They didn't have to be big or extraordinary. It could be the smell of bread fresh from the oven, the laughter of a child, the kindness of a stranger, the feel of warm water in the shower after a cold day. What happened at these gatherings was extraordinary. As each person shared their discoveries of beauty, others began to see the world through each other's eyes. They discovered kinds of beauty they had never noticed before. Marina, a single mother, shared how she discovered beauty in small domestic rituals: folding clean, fragrant laundry, preparing her children's snacks with care, tidying the house and seeing everything organized and welcoming. "Before, I saw these tasks as boring obligations," she said. "Now I realize they are acts of love for my family and for myself." Carlos, the retiree, spoke about how he had begun to notice the architecture of the city's old buildings. "Every window, every ornamental detail tells a story," he explained. "I've walked the same streets for decades, but now it's like living in a new city, full of art and history I'd never noticed before." Livia, the teenager, discovered the beauty in people's expressions. "I started noticing how unique each face is," she said. "How each person has a particular way of smiling, of frowning when they're thinking, of lighting up their eyes when they talk about something they love. It's as if each person were a living work of art." The group realized that gratitude was a natural result of contemplating beauty. When we truly see and appreciate something beautiful, a feeling of gratitude arises spontaneously. We don't need to force or manufacture gratitude. It arises naturally when we pay attention to the gift that life offers us in each moment. Donna Mercedes, at 82, became a kind of sage of the group. "Do you know why I always carry a flower?" she asked one day. "Because I learned that beauty is like a muscle. If we don't exercise our ability to see beauty, it atrophies. But if we practice every day, it grows stronger." She shared how she developed this habit after a great loss. "When my husband died 15 years ago, I thought I would never be happy again. Life seemed to have lost all color. Then a friend gave me a violet, just like the one you saw me carrying. She said, 'Mercedes, promise me you'll take care of this flower. And as you take care of it, remember that life is still capable of creating beauty.' At first, caring for the violet was just a chore. But little by little, I began to notice details, how delicate the petals were, how the leaves had interesting textures, how the moist earth smelled. And then I began to notice other plants, other flowers, other forms of beauty that were all around me all the time. The pain of loss never completely disappeared," Mercedes continued. "But it was no longer the only thing I could feel. I discovered that it is possible to carry longing with dignity and, at the same time, remain open to the beauty that life continues to offer." Donna Mercedes' words deeply touched everyone present. They understood that the practice of seeing beauty is not a way to deny or minimize pain. It is a way to expand our capacity for experience so that we can contain both pain and joy, both loss and discovery, both sadness and gratitude. The gratitude circle began to attract the attention of others in the neighborhood. Some curious onlookers stopped to listen in on the conversations. Some joined spontaneously. The group's positive energy was tangible and contagious. One day, a local journalist heard about the group and wanted to do a story. "What exactly are you doing here?" he asked. André replied, "We practice the art of living. We remind each other that life is much more than our problems and worries. We exercise our ability to see the beauty that has always been there, waiting to be noticed." "And does it work?" asked the journalist, skeptical. Sophia replied, "Look around us. See the faces of the people who are here. Do you see despair, or do you see peace? Do you see bitterness, or do you see serene joy? The beauty we practice seeing in the world is reflected in who we become." The journalist observed the group and had to admit, there was something different about these people. A quality of presence, a genuine serenity that was undeniable. The report was published and sparked interest among other people in the city. New gratitude circles began to emerge in other neighborhoods. The idea spread naturally, like concentric ripples in a pond where a stone was dropped. But the most important thing wasn't the growth of the movement. It was the individual transformation each person experienced. Each person who learned to see with new eyes became a source of beauty and peace in their own family, work, and community. 5 years had passed since that rainy morning that changed André's life. The gratitude circle had grown into a small network of groups spread throughout the city. But André was about to face his greatest personal challenge. His father, with whom he had a distant and complicated relationship, was hospitalized with a serious illness. For years, André had avoided confronting the resentment and hurt he harbored toward his father. Now, faced with the possibility of losing him, he felt compelled to visit him. When he arrived at the hospital room, he found a frail, aging man, a far cry from the authoritarian, judgmental figure he remembered from his childhood. His father looked small in the white bed, hooked up to various machines. "Hi, Dad," Andrew said, sitting down in a chair beside the bed. His father opened his eyes and recognized him. "André, I'm glad you came." The two sat in silence for a few minutes. André struggled with conflicting feelings. Part of him still harbored anger at the constant criticism, the rigidity, and the lack of affection that marked his childhood. But another part, the part that had learned to see beauty, saw only a vulnerable human being, perhaps frightened, certainly alone. "Father," Andrew said finally, "I want you to know that I forgive you, and I hope you'll forgive me too if I haven't been the son you expected." His father looked at him in surprise. "André, I'm the one who needs to apologize. I was too hard on you. I thought I was preparing you for life, but now I realize I may have taken away your joy in life." André felt something stirring in his chest, an old emotion, long held back. "Dad, "Can I tell you about something I've learned?" And André told his father about his journey, about his dusty eyes, about discovering beauty, about the peace that comes from contemplation, about the gratitude that transforms lives. He spoke about the circle of gratitude, about the people he had met, about how learning to see changed everything. His father listened silently, his eyes intent. "I always thought life was a struggle," he said when André finished, "that we had to be tough to survive. But maybe I missed a lot of beauty along the way. It's never too late to start seeing," said André. "Want me to show you?" André helped his father sit up in bed and pointed to the bedroom window. It was late afternoon, and the sun was setting behind the city buildings. The golden rays illuminated the clouds, creating a spectacle of colors in the sky. "Look how beautiful the sky is, Dad," André said softly. "Look at those colors. How many sunsets like this happen without us even noticing?" His father looked out the window with an expression André had never seen before. It was almost childlike, full of wonder. "It really is beautiful," he murmured. "How could I never have noticed this?" In the following days, André visited his father regularly. With each visit, he brought back small discoveries of beauty to share. Sometimes it was a flower he'd bought along the way. Other times, it was the story of an interesting person he'd met. Or they would simply watch the world go by together through the window, noticing the diversity and richness of human life. Gradually, their relationship transformed. Old wounds didn't magically disappear, but they were enveloped by a new understanding. They were both imperfect human beings, doing the best they could with the tools they had. And now, in the final chapters of their father's life, they could write new pages together. One day, his father said something that touched André deeply. "Son, thank you for teaching me to see. I feel as if my life has begun again, even here in this hospital." His father never recovered from his illness. He passed away a few weeks later, but in a very different way than André had imagined. He left peacefully, with gratitude, having experienced moments of genuine joy even amid his physical frailty. At the funeral, André didn't just cry tears of sadness. He also cried tears of gratitude. Gratitude for having had the opportunity to reconnect with his father. Gratitude for having been able to offer him the gift of beauty in the final moments of his life. Gratitude for having learned that love is stronger than resentment, that understanding is more powerful than hurt. During his funeral speech, André shared with those gathered the transformation his father had experienced. "He taught me something important in his final days," André said. "It's never too late to learn how to live. It's never too late to discover beauty. It's never too late to choose gratitude over resentment." After the funeral, several people approached André. They wanted to know more about this philosophy of life that had transformed both his father and himself. Some asked to participate in gratitude circles. Others simply wanted to learn to see with new eyes. André realized that his father had given him one last gift, the opportunity to discover that even life's most difficult experiences can become sources of wisdom and compassion when we approach them with a heart open to the beauty that coexists with pain. Today, 10 years after that rainy morning that changed everything, André walks down the same street where he began his journey. But now he's not alone. By his side walks his wife, Elena, one of the people he met in the circle of gratitude, who has become his companion in the art of living beautifully. In Elena's arms is little Luna, the couple's 2-year-old daughter. Luna has that natural sparkle in her eyes of children who haven't yet learned to filter the world through fear and worry. She points at everything with admiration. Little bird, flower, blue sky. André smiles as he watches his daughter. She is a living reminder that we are all born with the ability to see beauty in everything. Life doesn't teach us how to develop this ability. It just makes us forget we always had it. "Do you remember when we met?" Elena asks, watching André gaze at his daughter. "How could I forget?" André replies, "You were crying in the gratitude circle because you thought you'd never find someone who truly loved you. And I was learning that the most important love is the one we give to the world, without expecting anything in return." Elena laughs, and we discovered that when we offer genuine love to the world offers us love back, not as a bargain, but as a natural consequence. They arrive at the square where it all began. The bench where André discovered the raindrop is still there. Next to it, a small plaque installed by the city. Gratitude Square, a place to contemplate the beauty of life. The three of them sit on the bench. Luna immediately takes an interest in a group of ants carrying breadcrumbs. "Ant at work!" she exclaims, clapping her hands. "It's amazing how she sees magic in everything," Elena comments. "Because she hasn't forgotten how to do it yet," André replies. "Our mission as parents is to help her never forget and to remind ourselves, through her eyes, of the magic that never faded." André looks around the square. He sees people walking, each carrying their own stories, their own challenges, their own dreams. He sees children playing, couples talking, elderly people feeding pigeons. He sees trees that have grown a little taller in recent years, flowers planted by caring hands, a sky that changes color at every moment of the day. All of this was always there. All this beauty, all this richness of human experience, all this bounty of nature. He didn't create any of it. He just learned to see it. "Do you know what I discovered?" André says to Elena. "Beauty isn't just in the things we admire. We ourselves are part of the beauty of the world. When someone looks at the three of us here, sitting together, we are a beautiful scene in the eyes of those who know how to see. We are part of the spectacle of life." Elena agrees. "And when we offer love, kindness, and understanding to the world, we are adding beauty to existence. We are co-creators of the beauty we admire." At that moment, a young woman approaches the bench. André recognizes her immediately. It's Sophia, but a very different Sophia from the one he met years ago, crying in this very spot. Now she radiates serenity and joy. "André, Elena, what a wonderful coincidence to find you here," Sophia says, smiling. "Sophia, how are you?" asks André, standing up to greet her. "I'm fine. In fact, I came here on purpose. Today marks exactly 5 years since that day you taught me to see the beauty in life. I come here every year on this date to say thank you." "Thank you for what?" asks André, genuinely curious. "For showing me that I was not my problems, for teaching me that life is much bigger than our suffering, for helping me discover that there is always beauty coexisting with pain, always reasons for gratitude coexisting with challenges." Sophia sits with them on the bench. "Do you know what I do now?" she asks. "Tell us," says Elena. "I'm a teacher at a public school, and every day, before class starts, I ask the children to share something beautiful they noticed on the way to school. It's amazing how this changes the energy of the classroom. The children arrive happier, more attentive, more connected with each other." André smiles. "You're planting seeds of beauty for generations to come." "Exactly. And do you know what the most incredible discovery was? Children who learn to see beauty also become more resilient in the face of challenges. It's as if the practice of contemplation creates an internal reserve of peace that helps them face any difficulty." Luna, who had been quietly watching the adults' conversation, suddenly points to the sky and shouts, "Look, heart cloud!" Everyone looks up, and sure enough, there's a cloud that looks like a heart in the blue sky. The 4 adults laugh, delighted by the girl's observation. "Thank you, Luna," Sophia says. "You reminded me to look up. How long has it been since I noticed the clouds?" At this moment, André has a profound understanding. He realizes that this entire journey wasn't just about learning to see beauty. It was about remembering who we truly are. We are beings naturally designed for wonder, gratitude, and love. The ability to see beauty isn't something we develop. It's something we rediscover. Sophia," says André, "can I ask you a question?" "Of course. What would you say to someone who is going through what you went through 5 years ago? Someone who feels like life is just problems, just suffering?" Sophia thinks for a moment. "I would say I completely understand that feeling, because I've been there. And I would say that life does have its problems and suffering. That's true. But I would also say there's so much more to it than that. There's beauty waiting to be seen. There's love waiting to be received and given. There are moments of peace waiting to be experienced." She pauses and continues. "And I would say that you don't have to solve all your problems before you can see the beauty. The beauty is here now, even if the problems are here too. Our ability to wonder, to be moved, to feel gratitude, all of this works independently of our external circumstances, Elena adds. And I would say that beginning to see beauty isn't about denying problems. It's about expanding our vision to also include what's good, beautiful, and worthy of gratitude. It's about remembering that we are bigger than our challenges. André agrees. And I would say that every point of beauty we admire becomes a point of peace within us. This peace accumulates and gives us the strength to face any difficulty with greater serenity and wisdom. The sun is setting now, painting the sky with golden and pink hues. People in the square pause for a moment to admire the natural spectacle. Adults, children, and the elderly, all momentarily united in silent contemplation of the beauty. Look at this, Sophia whispers. A sunset has the power to unite strangers in a shared experience of wonder. Beauty is a universal language. André observes the scene and feels his heart expand with gratitude. Gratitude for the journey he's experienced, for the people he's met, for the lessons he's learned. Gratitude for the ability to see, to be moved, to find meaning and purpose in the art of living consciously. Do you know what the most amazing thing about all this is? André says to his friends. What? They ask in unison. It's just that everything has always been here. All this beauty, all this possibility for peace, all this abundance of reasons to be grateful. We didn't create anything. We just remembered how to see it. Luna, in her mother's arms, claps her hands and repeats, "Beautiful sky, beautiful sky." And in that moment, André understands that his daughter is his greatest teacher. She reminds him, every day, that life is an extraordinary gift, that every moment offers something worthy of admiration, that the ability to be enchanted by existence is the greatest treasure we possess. Your life has the beauty you see in it, André murmurs, repeating the words that changed his existence. Gay. And when we see with the eyes of the heart, Elena adds, we discover that we are part of that beauty. And when we offer beauty to the world through our actions and words, Sophia adds, we multiply the beauty that exists. The sky gradually darkens, but the stars begin to appear. One by one, tiny pinpricks of light illuminate the vast, dark blue of the night. Luna points upward and whispers, "Little stars?" André smiles. His daughter will continue to discover beauty, continue to be enchanted by life, continue to be a living reminder that existence is an extraordinary privilege. And he will continue to learn from her. He will continue to practice the art of living consciously. He will continue to offer the world the beauty he discovered within himself. Because this is the simplest and most profound truth. We are all mirrors of each other. The beauty we see in the world reflects the beauty that exists within us. And the beauty we offer to the world awakens the beauty that exists in others. Thus, in an infinite chain of luminous reflections, beauty multiplies, gratitude expands, peace spreads, and life reveals itself as the miracle it always was. Your life has the beauty you see in it, and now you know how to see. Every beauty you admire is a point of peace that arises within you. This point of peace covers your state of boredom and awakens joy. Know how to live. In everything, admire beauty. Your life has the beauty that you see in it.